Hey guys, Mike Gaddy here with another episode of Real Estate on Record. We have Steve Zolonardo and a special guest today, Mr. Luca Quintieri from
Thank you.
the Ultimate Mortgage Group. What are we gonna hit off today, Steve?
I think this is like the second segment, but I think we're just talking about like the future economy. Like everybody wants to know, what do we foresee in the next, let's say 1, 3, and 5 years. Like what do we see? Like property values, economy clearly. We can touch on politics clearly, because obviously has some effect on that currently on the market right now. And that's it. Yeah. So just like, what do you think, man? In the next year or two, like what do you think we're gonna see?
Prime rate, obviously, it's on the way down now. We've got an announcement coming next week on the 24th. We're anticipating a quarter point drop. I don't think we're going to see anything more than that.
25 basis points.
25 basis points. We're not going to. If they give any more, it's just going to work against whatever the government's trying to do. Right?
What's the inflation?
It's 2.7 right now.
2.7.
So it went up and came back down to 2.7 recently. Nice. So good sign. That promotes that 0.25% rate drop next week that I anticipate. I think heading into by the end of this year, we should see, from a conservative standpoint, another half a point from a
in
total by the end of the December for this year.
Quarter earlier and quarter now, or
I would say a quarter now, and then maybe we have September, then we have December after that. Or September, October, and then December. So there's a couple more quarter points I think that's going to come down.
I think it will be total 0.75 at the end of the year.
Again, conservatively, I'll say 50 by the end of the year, but I think it's going to be more of a 7.5, maybe even a full point. That's what some banks and some economists are predicting.
Yeah, that's what I've read.
It can be a little bit aggressive. I don't know. I'm not an economist. I'm just a broker.
I hope we're not listening to Benjamin Tal. Whatever he's doing, do the opposite. Cut it in half or add.
Yeah.
Just do the opposite.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Your dad have some shared values, or share some opinions about that.
Absolutely.
His predictions.
Yeah. So, but I think then we'll start seeing more of the heavy drops in 2025. More.
Do you think they'll get it to like half a point drop at one shot, or?
Yeah. I think we'll see it. We're still so high. So high, and our fixed rate. So there's a lot of misconception in the out there, the public too. That I've had a lot of clients call me and say, "Hey, I heard the prime rate's going to drop next week. Does that mean I can get a better fixed rate?" No. This is two different things. One's the Bank of Canada overnight rate, and one's the bond yields, right? So it doesn't mean that the fixed rates are going to drop. I see fixed rates coming down, going up, coming down, going up. A little bit of fluctuation there, but we got to get that prime rate underneath that, below that fixed rate where we are right now. So
because right now we reversed like 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
About 2 years now.
Yeah, but two and a half years now.
So we're gonna revert back to
middle of 22.
Yeah. So we have to revert back to that, right? That's just normality. We're not gonna see free money anymore. 1%, 2%, 3% free money. Okay, my opinion. Again, I see a normal 5-year rate probably closer to that 4.25% range in the future. Because if they drop anything any below that, we're going to get back to where we are now, right?
Yeah, because shortage of houses is still there. We always talk about the construction. There's going to be definitely a very low. I was talking to my brother-in-law just yesterday, and he's in construction. I talked to him 3 months ago, and it's just like there's going to be a period of pause because of the construction that's not sold and stuff like that. And he's like, no, everything's going to be good. And then I spoke to him last night. He's like, yeah, I think that pause already started. I'm like, yeah, it's just normal. Like if they're not selling anything in the sales centers, like, so that means there's not new owners. Yeah. New owners means no new construction for anybody in low-rise construction, right? High-rise is lucky because it's been determined a couple of years ago, it's been paid for, the whole thing.
Slower lag.
Yeah, and it's a longer period to build, so that keeps the people employed. But once there's going to be a lag time with those condos too.
For sure.
Yeah. So I don't mean we always talk with your old man. Like for us, we always kind of liked like a 3%, 3.5% 5-year fix. I think that was like where we kind of.
And again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that's the new norm again. Right.
Yeah.
It's just good. It's good for us. It's good for the people. Right. I just don't see it so quickly. Right.
No, I think you're right. It'll be 4.5 next year, 4 to 4.5.
Yeah, 4 to 4.5. I think is a reasonable guesstimate, right? It's just, but again, if people think that we're going to see free money again, we ain't going to see that for a long time.
But historically, when did we get free money? Like in Canada, so we had it. So obviously during COVID, which which events prior? 2017 we had a low rate there too, right?
Yes.
Not to that extent, but it was
No.
still in the twos. We had variable.
It was in the twos because I remember back at that time, the alternative lenders were offering 3.99s, right? And usually the spread between the bank and all alternative lenders is usually a full point. Usually.
So it's 2.99
So-
for a
depending, but-
5-year fix or something.
From the alternative side or the bank side?
Bank side.
Bank side, yeah. You're probably 2017. I think you're getting even a little bit, around there actually.
2.8
yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
I think I
2.8.
locked in.
Yeah.
I locked in 2017. We were in 2.59 5-year fix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you saw that 2.8, then you saw that drop, then you saw further drops,
yeah,
right?
in 17, but then it spiked. We
And
went
then
up
it
to
spiked.
like 3.5, 3.8.
Yeah.
Then it started coming. It was kind of stayed
Started
stagnant.
yeah.
So prior to 17, again, I've been in real estate since 2010-ish, let's call. So I don't remember too much between there, and I think it was very stagnant, like between that 4 or 5% for a fix. Maybe not.
I think it was
2010
lower because I might be
2010,
wrong,
I
but
locked
I
into
think
a mortgage at 3.5.
I think
5-year fix.
3.5. Yeah, I want to see. I might be wrong, but
Yeah,
I
no,
think
I-
we bought a triplex in like it had to be like 14. I want to say it was like 2.5. No,
For
5. Maybe it was a 3-year, maybe it was a shorter period, but it was pretty cheap. It was in the maybe 2.8. Like it was definitely under 3, well under 3 at that time. And I remember that was like a big deal that we got that rate.
yeah, because everyone was talking about how these rates will never come down again, or up rather. They can't, raise
This
the
is
rates.
massive.
This is now in 22. They were saying no, they can't raise the rates. Everyone will start losing properties
Yeah.
the way and they did it.
Yeah.
So I hope everyone kind of like got a lesson from that. So yeah, it'd be nice if we kind of get down to that range again between that 2.8, 3.5, something like that, where it's kind of. I think even at that point, I think the values of the house will still get too heated up too at that rate. I think we'll get back into bidding war.
They will. I think right now there's still some, depending on where you're looking. I think I heard from a client who was looking in the Durham region, that they still got overbid by 140 grand.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's pockets, right? The getting
It's also
outbid.
price point too.
Price point too. Yeah.
I did an analysis last week, basically breaking down price and absorption rate in each price point. So basically, $1 million and under, we're still 2 months of inventory. So that's very competitive market. So under $1 million. This is all freehold, and then going from 1.3 to $1 million, we're still like 2.75 months of inventory, which is very competitive. Well, until we get over that 1.6 mark, that was kind of like where we started getting into more of a balanced balanced market, and then 2.6 and up was like purely like buyers.
What do you add for an average house now? Like say in Caledon for absorption
Absorption in Caledon
or Woodbridge?
It was the GTA. It was total GTA was 5.6 months of inventory.
Still, is that high?
All of GTA, yeah. So, but that's heavily pushed onto the higher price points for sure.
Did you subtract condos out of that and put
That's
single
just
family?
freehold.
Single family.
Single family freehold.
Freehold.
Yeah, that was out of there's like 13,000.
What's the absorption I'm telling you there in Bonita Estero?
5-6 months. Yeah, same.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. So it's
How they're so connected? It's so ridiculous. Like the
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you're right. Different markets, but similar.
It's
movement.
just everything's kind of at the same pace here, right? Like it's weird. You think there'd be two different markets?
Closely following too, right?
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, once we get back to those rates, it'd be nice to kind of have like incremental like appreciation on the property instead of having these big spikes. Like you're saying, there's still kind of bidding wars. But I don't know if we ever get back down to that. I think this is broken. I don't see it fixed, man. That's what's even like I don't see a fix to it.
That's my
If you
concern.
had to fix this, the only way to fix what we currently went through, to be honest, and it sounds drastic, it'd have to go to zero again, or like a really heavy crash, and then you're going to have opportunity to kind of correct it. I think right now it's unfixable. I don't even know how, even to navigate through these waters.
Do we get into like I've read some articles. I don't know how common it's going to be. Like, do we get into a longer amortization? Because I think
Potentially.
that longer amortization stretches out payments. But obviously, we know people buy payments, not prices, right? So at the end of the day, like you're right. It doesn't ever get fixed. It just gets pushed on.
It keeps getting pushed,
to-
right?
to
And the longer
very
amortization means more interest,
cheaper,
right?
more interest but cheaper payments, so it's
Yeah.
more affordable stuff.
I think we're even obviously advising clients now. He's like, even though things seem grim rather than good, but everyone's gonna have to start buying into real estate at some point. And if you can't afford it, you're gonna have to joint venture with a few people. It's just a reality.
Yeah.
You gotta do it because if it's the scary thing is always like these big REITs are buying all single family dwellings and they're turning them into rentals. We know the government's investing money into affordable housing, which is gonna make them one of the biggest landlords in Canada. So what does that tell you? Like it's gonna be a renter society. Like it's not a joke, right? For our kids, like you're gonna have to start allocating money and
I'm
buying
worried.
up.
I'm worried for the kids. I got 2 little ones at home.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still young, but like you could say, well, if you're still young, there's lots of time. No, I got little kids growing up, right? How are they gonna get somewhere? I'm gonna have to help them. So
Yeah.
what can I do now? How can I foresee that, and how can I help them? Right? So it's tough. You got kids too, right? Like
Yeah, no. If we are, and Steve's in the same boat. If we don't help our kids, I think my kids will be renters, right? For life.
Yeah.
So our goal right now is to whatever we're doing is to have that kind of buffer to give them some sort of start. The thing is too, like where do prices go, right? Like, and that's another argument we have is like if the average price right now, the average price in the GTA is 1.1 million, let's say roughly. In 20 years, if we do get back into a positive market growth, like does that house become 2 million? So then even how much can I give them 500,000? They're left with a $1.5 million mortgage. Well, what kind of life is it? Still a survival life. It's not a growth of freedom, any sort of freedom, right? So it's another question to be had. Like how much can we help them to get them forward? Because if we keep going the way where we went, then well, just not much.
Yeah.
Even now, like running businesses and allocating so much cash towards everything. Realistically, everything's going towards business.
Yeah.
Even for me, I'll talk about myself. Like, what are we doing? I can't sit the college fund right now. Everything's like we're gonna have to keep rolling, keep making money. You can't be dormant right now. As much as you want it to be dormant, you can't. It's just almost you got to keep it rolling. You got to keep that balance. And obviously, I have a lot of exposure into the U.S. right now. It's like okay, we got to keep going. We got to keep hammering, keep how much money's going out rather than coming in. It's like we gotta go. We have a plan. We have a goal. You gotta start turning it around. But when does that money come back to you, and how much? This is the mystery.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So even like you're in sales, we're all in sales. Like we have opportunity to make as much money as we want based on the obviously the money deals we can close and stuff like that. How much we're willing to put into it. But even all that money coming in, like how much is left over to save it for the future? This is the scary thing. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know. Like something like that will keep me up at night. Like what do we do? And again, it's like you talk to some people, they're not thinking about this stuff, and rightfully so. Good for them. I think that's probably better you don't. But it's like these little people are dependent on us to give them a future. So what? So what are we doing for them? And I'm in that situation too, where I'm rolling everything into investment rather than paying for their college or university, right? So it's scary times, man. I don't know if our parents had to go through this similar concept of mentality. I think this is a whole new. We have multifaceted new life that we have to deal with, and not just like my dad was a laborer. He made X amount of dollars. He put X in the bank, and the rest was like they would have friends over and eat and drink. That's it. That was like the allocation to it. They had a few cars, and that's it. So it was like just stack in the bank. I don't know. We don't have that. I think also for us, it's like we want a lifestyle, we want enjoyment, we want vacations. So it's only something.
Some sort of
and you know what? Rightfully so, because there's no sequel to this. We know so many people that have done nothing their whole lives and they die off doing absolutely zero. So it's like, you have to have fill in the fun too. So it's a lot of things we need to navigate.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see. I guess hopefully they raise us. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. If we don't help them, there's no hope.
No, I think you can look at trying to.
We got to start now, like you said. Like we got to start now.
I told my wife.
You're right.
Said I spoke to her. We drove down from Florida because I got some shit to do with immigration and stuff. So we drove down, and plus I'm bringing my Vespa back, which is probably one of the exciting things of the trip. But I talked to her. I said, I have mastermind meetings with Mike, with my friends. We always talk about business. We need to have a mastermind meeting Like we need 1 or 2 days just alone, and literally just kind of formatting what we want and what we want to have for the kids. Like
Yeah.
we don't. Are we nuts not to do this? Sit down. Like I've been doing this with Hussein for probably 8-9 years now, whatever, maybe around there anyway. The thing, mastermind meeting planning. 2017, I think we started, so that's like 7-8 years. Let's say we've been doing this thing every year. I should need to be doing that with my wife, and we had a financial coach in the past, which was great. So we get on a call and we keep us accountable. Like this is the allocation to this bank. This is the allocation to this bank. So you're kind of like, so a check would come in and you would split it with like 4 or 5 different ways. Got to get back into that. And it's just right now I'm so spread that I don't have time to kind of focus on that. I'm relying on the people to kind of do the defense part of that. And it's just one of those deals where I should take 2 days, go away to hotel, whatever it is, rent a little Airbnb, nice environment, clearly like spa setting, get out the marker board and let's hammer down. How much are we going to allocate for college? This is for saving. Where do we want to be when we retire? Do we want to keep this house? It's just exciting planning.
Yeah.
Like we're going to stay in this house. Like, when do we want to be mortgage free? There's like a whole process to all this. Like we should have that all laid out. You should be doing that at least once a year.
Yeah.
At least get your spouse on board. Because you find like there's so many divorce cases and all this stuff. A lot of it's a tie up with financial.
You gotta do that. You gotta do that and get away from the distractions by doing it. It's like
no kids.
Myself and my wife. We talk about these things. I could tell you we talk about these things every night, but it's at the dinner table, and then I got one spilling over their juice, and I got the other one, yelling for her iPad or something. So you can't get that connection.
100%.
So getting away, like you said, and just completely escaping and just blocking everything out is very important.
Good thing is at night, you're not alone. Usually we're
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Mastermind, you might even rekindle your finances and also your relationship, if you know what I mean.
Life. Yeah.
It's true. No, I think it's important, man. I think we gotta even like spread the happiness and the joy around too with friends, family members, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because there's so much shit right now with the social media and all this negativity and stuff like that. It's nuts, buddy. We don't know what we're gonna be politically. Like I haven't never been so politicized in my whole life, and I keep a lot of it quiet too. I have obviously my opinions, but it's like, and it's not even because I care if it's left or right or whatever. It's just
not the unity, right?
My kids,
Yeah.
where are they gonna be in 10
sense
years?
of normal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
Which
trying
we've lost.
to get onto a road for these kids in the future where there's still a road to be there. That's still a road, not a dirt road. You know what I mean? Like I want it to be on some paved surface rather than, like. You can't look at stuff too with emotion. You got to look at it with logic, And I'm just trying to talk to a lot of people. Like I'm back in Toronto this week, clearly, and it's just like talking to family members. It's like it's almost like taboo. But again, it's almost like masterminding a conversation with your team or your wife about finance. You should be, talking about the future, and obviously how you want to see the countries run and stuff like that. These are all very important topics. I think people just became so goddamn sensitive about everything. They don't talk about nothing. It's why.
Yeah. It's the
less they know,
media
the
too,
better.
pushing out what they want to push out too, right? So I think it's brainwashing a lot of people too, right? You're not keeping that open mind. You're not talking about, you're not sharing your own personal opinions with others. And like you said, people are getting sensitive then now when we do that type of stuff because it's just, the world is a crazy place now.
I'll tell you this, it's strange now because I'm obviously in both worlds, and it's like coming back to Toronto, people, even just talking with family, it's almost like self-censoring right away. And it's nothing to do with any of the whatever's in the media. It's just like anything. It's just like you can start to see how tied up we are here with thoughts.
Yeah.
Like and then you get to Florida, it's like free thinking. It's a wild, different mentality, the way of thinking there. It's like everyone's free. The way you do things, the way you talk, the way you communicate. So it's just like coming back and everyone's like scared. It's wild. And I don't even think it's the people. I think it's just the environment that kind of forced them into the situation where it's almost like that's a new iOS program, a new operating system, an OS program rather. It's just wild. Yeah.
You'd be the first one to be able to tell the difference because you see it month after month, right?
It's frustrating too, to be honest, because we you talk to a lot of smart people too, it's just like, well, why we all have to have a conversation. It doesn't matter. Like we gotta talk.
Yeah. I see it. Like I don't go to Florida as often as you, but when I go to our family's place there, I can tell 100%. My wife will come back, and then you'll see a different person when she's there, and then when she comes back, she's a completely different person. It's just because the environment Like we went to a boat cruise in Tin City, right?
Which was
When we were there in Florida.
yeah.
We went to Tin City for that boat cruise, right?
Okay.
You go out and see all the dolphins of the water, and you can see
It's
all the
in
estate
Naples,
homes.
right?
In
Tin
Naples,
City?
yeah. And it's just amazing. It's just incredible. You're sitting there on the dock having some fish and chips or whatever they have there in the restaurant along the water, and it's everybody's like looks at you, gives you the kind nod, or smiles at you, walks by. Like nobody's got a problem.
Yes.
We come back here, step off the plane, right in the airport. There's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so closed off now, and Canada never used to be like that.
But
And
why?
it's
I understand.
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's a wild.
It's very unfortunate. It's
Yeah.
very unfortunate. It's not the country that like I said, I'm still young, but when I was growing up playing street hockey, it was very different than how I see it now. As a business professional, as an entrepreneur, and with a family of 4, right?
No,
You
I
have 4
see.
kids?
No, a family of 4.
Oh, family of
Just
4.
myself, I have 2
Jesus
kids. Yeah,
Christ.
yeah. No, I'm done. I ain't doing that ever
You
again.
two,
I'm
right?
done.
You got 2,
I
right?
got 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. My brother-in-law has 4 girls.
God bless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mikey's got 3.
Yes. Stop.
I was thinking of
Stop. Yeah, see, that's what he did. He thought the 4th one was going to be a
No,
boy,
no,
and it came out a girl.
we're going to a clinic in the US. We're gonna make sure it's a boy.
We're gonna pick the gender.
Yeah. Technology, man.
I fucking love it.
Yeah. So yeah, but
It's
you can
true,
tell,
man. I
it's-
think I don't know if yeah, it's wild, man. It's wild. Like just I think it's this big city feel
Just
to it.
the disrespect too in customer service.
Yeah.
The absolute disrespect. I can't go into a place and get a coffee without like somebody just be polite. Customer service, it starts there. It starts there. You have good customer service, money will follow.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Do you think it's maybe the mixing of different populations into one place,
100%.
like a melting pot, and everyone comes with a different?
100%. It is because we all come from different backgrounds. We all come from different cultures, and different cultures see things in different ways. And when one culture is trying to communicate with another culture, sometimes there's that
Conflict,
that
yeah.
conflict, that clash.
Or they
You
used to.
don't, you don't see eye to eye right away. And why? Why do we have that in this world? It's very unfortunate, right? Everybody should treat each other equally, but it's that guard comes up, and it's something that we got to try to get down. But I don't think it's possible.
I don't think it's possible.
It's
No,
not.
I think
It's
yeah,
just not. It's not.
Yeah. And it's changing. It is changing for sure.
Upbringing, like I said, it's the upbringing, 100%. For the older, younger crowd, upbringing, 100%.
Yeah.
Because if I did something wrong, I was made sure that I knew I did something wrong.
Forcible
Right?
enforcement.
You know what I mean? Nowadays, it's the younger one telling the parent where to go, and
True.
and I've heard it before, and it's sickening, right?
Even
I
like
would never utter those types of words. but-
we're talking with our kids, my wife with the kids and stuff like that. Like I don't want my kids to be useless. Like you know what I mean? It's like if you give them too much and you have not that much expectation. Like I'm pretty hard on the kids. I gotta be honest. Not a hard, but I'm hard. Like I expect them to kind of push through and like you gotta keep going, dude. This is not like what are we doing? You're gonna give you a cookie? Like you gotta go, right?
Yeah,
You gotta keep
yeah.
pushing. And I'm trying to teach them lessons along the way. And I become an asshole sometimes, and they'll tell me. But it's just like you start to see like them maturing. It's like this plant.
The backbone. You see the backbone in them.
And they're starting to come back with like a lot of this the teaching from the teaching that I've kind of gave them over the years. You starting to see it starting to grow, and obviously there's got a whole lifetime to go. But I'm starting to see some maturity in some of the lessons that I've given them. Even my son, my daughter, it's beautiful to kind of start seeing it. Again, it's still a very long path, right? But you're hoping that when they get of age, when they become a mature adult and they're ready to go to work, like they're not relying on me and they're not like kind of useless, because the last thing I need them to, like I'll do whatever I have to for them. I'll do everything. I'll clean their floors for them. I don't give a shit. But it's just the fact that they need to be self-sufficient. So they encounter a problem, they should be able to assess the problem and be able to conquer it. And if they need a coaching in the middle, fine, put me a call. We'll coach you a little bit, but you got to execute that. You can't have me
100%.
executing.
battle.
Yeah,
100%.
because some parents will like that. That's my parents. It's like this. My mother-in-law still like that. It's like, we can't do that. Like you got to step aside. Like this is they have to go through the process. You're basically you're maturing an organism, basically. You know what I mean? That's what you're doing. So they can kind of like sort of like us right now. Even myself, it was like everything was. My parents didn't. There was no guidance or anything like that. There was a problem. You had to work through it. It's like learn how to play chess. Every time there's a new situation, so you
Yeah.
kind of like get a obviously a very like sharp mind and with problem solving and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this is something we can't take away from our kids, because what do they say? The first generation makes it, the second generation maintains it, the third generation blows it. Like you gotta, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's getting tighter too. I think it's the first generation makes it, and a lot of the second generation is
fucking
blowing
blows
it.
it.
Yeah.
We skipped one.
It depends on the family. You're right. It's
It depends,
upbringing, right?
I agree.
I don't know. Maybe it's me. I just see more and more of that.
But even like what your dad did with you too, like he could have said, "Okay, come work for me." Blah blah
Well,
blah.
the thing is, like he was in his industry already, right? My dad was an incredible entrepreneur, like all his life.
Yeah,
He just-
shoes.
He,
stores.
he owned 5 shoe stores. Like
Yeah.
that man was just incredible
He's
in
a beast,
business, right? He's a businessman. That's what he is. And he knew at one point in his life when I was younger that he wanted to make a transition, and he transitioned to mortgages, and he's built himself very well on that side. But for me, like I went to school, like I had a passion for airplanes when I was a kid.
Yeah. Your dad was.
So I went to school to be a pilot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went to college to be a pilot.
Your dad had a
I used to
comment.
fly at Bundyville
You tell me
Airport.
about you.
I used to fly at Bundyville Airport, and it literally used to cost him $200 an hour for me to fly to build my hours.
Wow.
So it got to the point now where I kind of clicked, and I'm like, this is not reasonable, right? So I was in college, and it was difficult to get a co-op job at that point. At that time, this was back mid or early 2000s when they went on a purge of firing pilots, right? And that's the time when I need to go get a co-op job. So I applied at the airlines to throw baggage on a plane, just to throw bags on a plane, just so I could say I've worked at an airport, so I can put something in there. Wouldn't get hired.
Really?
That bad. It was that bad. So I said, yeah, I need at that time I needed money for gas and cigarettes. That's what I needed money for.
Vitamins.
So I got my ass out. I went to find a job. I did whatever to do at college. At the same time, I worked part-time, got a job. And then it came to a point where, I was like, okay, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to continue in the airline path, be a pilot, right? There's the Air Force I could do, but with a Sicilian mother, it doesn't go very well, right? So out of respect for her, I chose not to go that path. And then I figured, you know what? My old man's in mortgages. Let me see what I can do in mortgages. And before I even knew anything about mortgages, I had that conversation with him. I said, hey, listen, I'm thinking of learning the business and going from there. He goes, yeah. He's like, why don't you get a job with, the banks or the lenders and just even be a teller and just learn, right? So I got my foot into, it was Home Trust at the time. That's when I started the call center. But I didn't lean on him to learn anything about mortgages. I took the conversations that it was happening in the household, and it set in because I heard the terms.
Yeah.
When I heard the terms and I actually did it, because I'm a hands-on learner. So when I actually did it, I picked it up pretty quick, right? And then I said, you know what? I'm going to stay in this path because I don't want to give him a heart attack by leaving this and going to try to work for his company, and then he's got to teach me, coach me, guide me, while trying to establish and build his business and his book, right? I didn't want to do that. So I wanted to take that pressure off his back, do 12 years on the lender and bank side, and when I felt like I had enough, then I had enough. I needed the security too, because I always had the plan to, get married, have kids, right?
How old are you now, Luca?
I'm 34.
Okay. You're saying Mike, you're 35, right?
Yeah, so when you're getting married and you want to get married and you want to have a kid,
No,
you need that stability,
Cash, yeah,
right?
For sure.
But I got to the point where I was making over 6 figures, and I said, do I have the Corleones to do this? And I put my hands up, I left that, and I started at zero again.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you for watching this episode. Thank you, Luca Quintieri from Ultimate Mortgages, and obviously Mike Gaddy here. Amazing conversation. Watch this, guys, because there's a lot of tidbits in here right through it, even with family and stuff like that, and also get to know Luca. And if you're obviously looking to get a mortgage, I would definitely stamp my approval on him and his family, because I've known him for the last.
Thank you.
How long is it? I've been doing business with your dad since
Many
2013.
years.
Yeah. So 11 years. That's it, buddy. Where can they find you?
You can find me at, again, Instagram. You can locate me at Luca_YourUltimateMortgage, or you can reach me at Luca@ultmgroup.com, or visit my website at YourUltimateMortgage.ca.
Nice. And Mike Gaddy.
Mike Gaddy, Realtor.
Nice. And Treviso Homes.
Yeah, Treviso.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Ciao.
Appreciate it.
Awesome, buddy, man. That's fucking, you're the best, buddy.